Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm Caroline Turner, and I said in a previous post I was going to talk about CPS. Now, what is CPS? Well, CPS, simply put, is retargeting our teams to increase revenue. Now, one of the biggest things that I've done over the last 5 or 6 years is I've spent actually a lot of time, it's been hard work, I've spent a lot of time actually going out into salons, into spas, purely as a client. I think it's such a powerful thing to do. It's something that I used to do with my own team and something I would advise any salon owner to do and any professional. Because there are a lot of people who come into our industry and they've never been a client. They don't know what it's like. But one of the key things that I found, and it's such a sad thing, we still have a lot of team members who just don't offer advice. And here's the thing, we end up then focusing on giving things like, here's your retail target, here's your rebooking target. And it's a bit like, the horse is bolted. It's too late. What we need to know is not how many sales they actually got, how many rebookings they got. And they are sales. Everything that we do, whether it's rebooking a client, whether it's recommending other services, whether it's home care, or whether it's asking for referrals, they are all sales. We may not like the idea that we need to sell something, but if we don't sell, there isn't a business. So understanding where our teams are struggling is essential. So CPS is the complete professional service. Now, to me, we haven't done a professional service if we've not offered the professional advice. We've not shared our knowledge. There's so many people out there that have so much knowledge that our clients may think they know. But the truth is that, we're the professionals. We're the ones who have spent all this time, given our time to learning our skills, our craft, our profession. We're the ones who sat in lessons looking at the anatomy and physiology or looking at the structure of skin or the structure of hair. We're the ones who know. We need to share that knowledge. And it's such a simple little thing to do, but many of our teams don't do it. They don't do it. So there's no point, as far as I'm concerned, in sitting there and going, let's have a look at your retail figures. Let's have a look at your rebooking figures. I need to know what's essential. And this is one of the biggest things that can, increase revenue, is to know how many people actually got the advice. How many people? Now, CPS is simple to do. You just go into your computer system and you add a new service. Give it a name. I call mine CPS because it's the complete professional service. Once you give it a name, it has a zero cost and it takes zero time. Because it doesn't. It takes zero time and it costs nothing for our teams to just open them out to tell, express and give that knowledge to our clients. So when we come to the end of our service, and yes, this is the part that tends to get the big, oh no, that's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard. It is written down. Now, for me with my team, every single day, their client cards were printed out from our computer system. They were given their cards. And from there, at the end of the service, they must have documented on there what advice was given. And the advice follows our 4 R's. If you've watched anything I've done before, you know I talk a lot about the 4 R's of revenue. Our retention, rebooking our clients, recommendations. Now that can be an additional service from that particular provider. So whether it's a hair client and they really need to have a treatment because their hair would benefit from more nourishment. Whatever we feel is our recommendation. And it can be colour. It could be that, we're going into a seasonal change and therefore we need to look at and think about what colour we're going to be doing on your next service. It's our home care. Now, retail is the R. I have 4 R's. But for me, certainly for teams, I ban certain words. The word product is not permitted. Oh, I've got this great product. It isn't known. It's home care. That's what we're offering. Something for you to use at home that will care for your skin, your muscles, your hair, your nails, whatever our home care is. But it's retail. Our 4 R's, retail. Now, the 4th R is referrals, but they come separately. Within our CPS, onto that client card needs to be documented when they need to come back in, any additional services that they're going to be having or you have recommended, and any home care advice, our retail. Now, we're not looking for an essay. They don't need to write down a big long story. 6 weeks, XYZ colour or XYZ service. Retail, we can do it in abbreviations. If you've got a particular line, you just put down K equals dry skin. That's it. I'm not looking for long-winded written CPS reports, but it's written down. Because it's very easy for any of us to sit there and go, so tell me about the CPS. Did you offer? Did you give? Oh, yeah, I'm doing it all the time. Written down is there, black and white. Now, the advantage of the written down is if we have someone else who's going to finish off and take the bill, we can pass over that card. It can be updated onto our system, and it gives that final person, whether it is a reception team member, and for me they're called front of house. They are front of house managers. They are sales based. They need a lot of training and support, so they really do benefit the business. And a receptionist can really make a massive difference to our revenue. But it's passed over because it gives them the opportunity to be able to go, right, so the advice we've been given is you need to be back here in 6 weeks. So we can do the Tuesday as you've had today, or would you prefer a different day on that week? It gives them something to work with. Now, because I've now got that piece of paper where I can see this is what I have advised the client, I can now add that to the bill. I can add it to the bill. Oh, this is fabulous. Because now, when I look at my reports, I can start seeing how many of the clients received the complete professional service. How many actually got the advice? I need to know because that's where I find anyway, a lot of the issues lie. They'll either get to the end of the service and have that moment of panic of like, oh God, I've chatted too much about other stuff and I forgot to do my CPS. I forgot to advise. Or we end up with that scenario of someone standing at the reception desk going, I told you about that really great shampoo. Would you like me to get you one? It's lost. It's gone. That doesn't work. It has such a low return, our percentage returns. It goes onto their bill. There's no charge. If, and I think it's quite rare, if they actually do want to have a receipt, and they do ask, we just monitor to see if our clients are getting a complete professional service. There's no charge for the service. It's just part of what we do. But now when I come to do my reviews, when I set up my targets, see, a good salon, a good spa should have around a 70 to 90% CPS rate. 90% of our clients are getting the advice. Now, what I find tends to happen, and I've written a few bits down here, so I'm going to put my glasses back on because I'm as blind as a bat. So, let's say, for example, let's use retail. Retail is a great one to look at. Now, let's say that I had 100 clients come through, And as I look at my figures, if I don't have CPS in place, 20 people purchase my retail. So I'll have my retail percentage. I can see that the percentage was 8%, let's say as an example. Now, if I have CPS added, then I can delve deeper. I can actually find out and look at and then discuss with that team member how many clients are actually getting the advice on what they need to use, whether it be at home or returning to the business. So let's say I have my CPS report, then I can start looking that actually only 40 clients received CPS. So out of 100, only 40 got it. Wow, that's a great opportunity. Let's see if we can reset that target and get that up a bit higher. Because if I can get to a point where I've got 90% of my clients, I see 190 of them get advice, then I will see a massive shift in revenue. And the fact that the team member is giving advice on a frequent and regular basis builds the habit. And everything's about habits. One of the things that's on our online course is all about how to build habits fast and fun. Because whether it be how we perform a massage or how we perform a facial or how we cut hair, all of those things started feeling awkward and difficult. And we practiced and practiced and practiced until it became an established habit, which is just what we do. And what we need to get our teams doing is giving their professional advice frequently. The more they do it, the easier it gets, until it just becomes second nature. You know, whether it's when you start in our industry, sectioning hair or how to apply a wax to a leg, it feels awkward, it's difficult, you know, it's like, oh God, it's a live client, I've got a real person today. You know, it can feel uncomfortable. And the same goes with giving advice. Advising our clients is a skill. That's what I train. So we build the habit. If 90% of the clients on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a quarterly basis are getting advice, we establish the habit. And a team then just flows with the service that I offer advice. This is how I do it. This is when I do it. And I get a higher return. If there's an issue for me in why lots of salons struggle, it's down to the fact that our teams don't have that skill yet. They just don't have the skill in how to advise our clients, and we're not monitoring it. You know, it's, as I said, I think a little earlier, you know, the horse has already bolted if we're just looking at you've got 8% retail. What I need to know is how many people got the advice. Because if I can look at that and go, well, 50% of the clients got the advice and 20% purchased. Now I've got something to work on. Now I've got something to actually build on. If I then look, and actually what I find is I'm only advising 20% of my clients, then I know that that's where the issue lies. Now, introducing something like CPS, yes, there can be resistance. Yes, there'll be one or two who have, because it's change. Change means putting effort in. And if our team member hasn't been advising, although it's part of their job, then I'm now going to have to be accountable for that. Because come the end of that day, come the end of that week, come to the point of doing a full review, it's there in black and white. Only 20% of your clients receive the advice. So we're going to retarget that. We then have something to build on. If there's one thing I've found over the years, well, a few things, there's lots of things, but one of the key things is that we just don't give advice. It becomes an afterthought and, oh God, I'm supposed to do retail. I've got to say something. Training the skills to advise our clients is essential, make no mistake. But understanding how many of our clients are actually getting the advice, That's such a powerful tool. It's simple to do. Onto the computer, 0 revenue, 0 time. It is written down. Yes, that will form some form of resistance for some team members, but it's building habits, so we have to keep working at it. But once they get into the flow, as a salon or spa owner, it gives you a much greater picture as to where am I going with things like my rebookings, my retention. Is the client getting the information they need to make that decision? Because a lot of the time, they're not getting that information. So, there's a full post on it. You can have a look at it where I think I've done one post where I talk about don't give your team retail targets. And I wouldn't. If I have people who are struggling with retail, I like to whip that one out and just focus on my CPS target. Because if I get more advice being given, they build their confidence and the retail will come. It's also in the book. There's a book on my website, 7 Killer Sales Mistakes in the Salon and Spa Industry. So you can check those out if you want to. If you have a question though, don't hesitate, pop it below. But seriously, you want to give a target that makes a massive difference to your growth, to your revenue, to understanding what is going on with that client, then CPS is essential. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing today, have a fabulous day, and I will speak to you soon. I haven't decided what I'm going to talk about yet. I'll have a little think. But if you've got a suggestion, if you want to know something, I specialise in sales in our industry, so pop something below. Give me something to talk about. Wherever you are, see you soon. Ciao, ciao.